Was the DraftKings Pizza Challenge, was it a false flag distraction from the rake increases?
I'm not sure. I kind of think it might have been.
Yo, what is crack-a-lackin' fam? It's your boy Pete Manzanelli. We're back for the week 4 editions of ManzMaker, the future award-winning DFS program you know and love. And we have a truly prestigious guest coming on in a little bit, Drew Dinkmeyer, aka Dinkpieces. But before we can do that, first, we must discuss some news. Alright folks, if you tuned in last Friday, you saw the Manz doing the hashtags DraftKings Pizza Challenge. Now, by some metrics, by some standards of measurements, I failed. And the haters came out in full force to tell me this, okay? But I want you to know, the Manz could easily polish off a 14-incher, but instead, I aimed for the stars, okay, with a 16-incher, and I came up short. Shit! On purpose to inspire others to succeed at this challenge. Just take a look at my dear friend Frisco Josh is right here.
I was inspired to do this by Pete Manzanelli and his failure tonight. My wife and I had a freaking glorious time watching him absolutely fail to eat his pizza on time. With 2:31 left to go.
See, that was all the Manz, dude. Just inspiring countless other individuals to succeed. And it's called putting yourself before others. So next time you think about commenting on my video and saying, failure, you failed, blah, blah, blah. So just know that failing isn't in the Manz vocabulary, only calculated tactics to motivate others to succeed. Now, we normally only have one piece of news, but today we have 2 news items. And this is a very hard thing for me to deliver, and I'd like us all to take a quick moment of silence to say rest in pieces to my dear friend Hugh Hefner's. Now, I don't need to say much about this. You all know him. He's someone that was a dear friend of mine who lived the get paid, get laid Manz mantra to the fullest. And all I'll say is this. This week, we'll all be reading Playboy for the obituary. Now, it's time for Pete's Tweet of the Week that brings the heat. Alright, this week's tweet comes from the Dallas Cowboys diminutive wide receiver Cole D's Nuts Beasleys, who was none too pleased with a fantasy player shaming him for his 4-yard performance on Monday Night Footballs. Let's see what he said. To quote, "Don't motherfuck me, bro. I can't catch what isn't thrown." Wow. That's just like a really thought-provoking statement, and it immediately joins the ranks of other famous paradoxes, such as, if a motherfuck tree fell in the forest and no one hears it, did it ever really fall? Or Schrodinger's motherfuck cat. Thank you for making us think, Beasleys. We appreciate it. And just a reminder, if you're a fantasy player and you're upset at an NFL player, you are well within your rights to harass them on Twitter. Just hit up my dear friend, Tex Manzanelli, and we'll sue them all the way back to the CFL. Okay, let's get to our guest. Welcome back. I am now joined by a truly prestigious guest. He's a man behind the site Daily Grottos. He's won the Welly Makers. You know him as Dinkpiece in the DFS streets. Drew Dinkmeyer, welcome to the show, bro.
It is a pleasure to be on the show, Manz. Just an absolute pleasure.
That's right, dude. I've had your colleague on, Michael Leone's, but we've never gotten the Dinkpiece on here, dude, so it's great to have you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I wish I could be talking WNBA, but I know it's not that time of the year. We got the finals going, though. I mean, you got the Lynx. You got LA. Like, yeah. Who you got in this WNBA finals?
Seriously,
tied up at 1.
I know, dude. I like the Lynx. Who's your WNBA MVP for this season? I saw the lines were out on that earlier today.
Yeah. You know, everybody went with Sylvia Fowles. Obviously, she was dominant this year. But I mean, I'm a Jonquel Jones guy. Like I'm a big Jonquil Jones guy. She burst on the scene. I became a Connecticut Sun fan during the course of the season. Love Alyssa Thomas. Love Jasmine Thomas. Love that whole team. Was a little disappointed they got knocked out early. But yeah, I think the Lynx are going to take it. I'm with you.
Excellent. And this is a nice message. If anyone's watching this and you've also watched that video and you're one of those people that have been DMing me on Twitter and on YouTube for WNBA DFS plays, by all means, keep doing that. All right. Next question, Drew. When will you be participating in the Draftkings Pizza Challenge?
So I threatened to send in a video that I think I can get down a full 14-inch pizza in somewhere around 16 hours or so.
I like that.
And I thought about, maybe recording it and sending it to Kalish and seeing if he'd enjoy watching me eat a full pizza over the course of 16 hours. I'd go through my workday. I'd just kind of have a slice here and there. I am one of the slowest eaters you would ever meet, and others in the DFS industry can attest. I'm always the last one with my meal at any of these dinners where people are playing credit card roulette and whatnot. So I am not equipped for the pizza challenge.
Dude, I actually think that is honestly way more impressive is if you could eat a single pizza over a 16-hour span. That's in its own right. It's like a marathon, not just this stupid sprint. I commend that.
Yeah, it's a different type of event, but I feel like it's deserving of tickets as well.
Excellent. Okay, next question. This is on everybody's mind right now. Is the Rake in DFS too low or just perfect?
Can I have another option of those two choices?
I didn't think that. I think there's only two options. What are you talking about?
I think I'd go for option C of that. I'm not sure it's just perfect. Let's put it this way. I was really excited to see a Thursday contest that was at just 14% Rake. That got me really excited that I was hearkening back to all the days of just a few weeks ago when Rake was below 15%.
Okay, so I hear everybody out here complaining, doing stuff, but it's like, what are we actually going to do? So I have to ask, should DFS players be taking a knee before regging for the Welly Maker this week?
I think there's definitely some opportunities to show signs of solidarity and unity this week, for sure.
Okay, excellent. So everybody get out there and make your voices heard. Was the DraftKings Pizza Challenge, was it a false flag distraction from the Rake increases?
I'm not sure. I kind of think it might have been. I mean, I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, if you are a professional eater, you can play at reasonable Rake. But if you're not a professional eater, then you're going to have to deal with these Rake increases. Yeah. So like Joey Chestnut, if he wants to get into DFS, this is a perfect time for Joey Chestnut. The Rake's never been better for him.
Yeah, dude, I saw today Dennis Rodman's was maybe having a DFS site. Joey Chestnut's like, there's room for everybody. We got Riddick Bowes in here, dude, telling him he's going to beat people's ass. Like, I'm starting to wonder, is this the new, like, becoming a car salesman for washed up athletes? It's just like, oh, you just start promoting a DFS site now.
We'll know when Josh Gordon is suspended again. Well, that'll be the turning point if it's gone to used car salesman for former professional athletes.
That's true. He will be the canary in the coal mine. All right. Before we talk week 4, which we are going to discuss, I want to talk about the Welly Maker. This is an initiative that you have going on. It involves giving people water. Like, I don't know. I normally just turn my faucet on when I want water. Explain to me why other people need water.
Yeah, there's some places around the world that it's not just as easy as going to your faucet or your toilet or, your kitchen, wherever you keep your water. There's some places around the world where, people are walking 10 miles a day to just get to water, and they're taking big jugs and they're bringing it back to their family, and that's part of their whole lifestyle. And so Charity Water is the charity that I'm working with. We set up this Welly Maker campaign that's been running since the middle of August. And what Charity Water does is they go to some of these rural areas, India, other parts of Asia, Africa, some of the Caribbean, and they create sustainable water solutions, whether it's wells, whether it's sand filters, whatever is the thing that works best in that region. They work with local partners to create sustainable solutions so that people can have access to clean drinking water for their lifetimes, and they no longer have to be either drinking really dirty water that's available to them closely or trekking, many miles to go get clean water.
That's awesome, dude. And how many Skrilla have you raised in this campaign so far?
It's been pretty awesome. So far, we've raised over $28,000. Every $10,000 or so is a fully funded water project that's sustainable water for a village forever. And so we're almost towards 3 fully funded water projects. If we get to 32, I made the promise that at 27, the next 5 we raised, I'd match that. So if we get to 32, I'll match another 5. But it's been a great show of support from the industry, and I really appreciate everyone partaking in it.
That's right. Did you hear that, guys? We got a stretch goal. We got to get to 32. We need to make this man. Do you see how nice his living room is? His office behind us. We need to make this man shell out a little bit more money for a good cause. I'll be sure to post the link in the show notes, also in the comments. I'm sure Drew has it pinned on his profile. Lots of places to find it.
Yeah, it's right there on my Twitter. You can see on the pinned tweet. There's a little link that'll take you to all the information about the Welly Maker campaign.
Excellent. Yep, dude, we're all very good at being selfish. Trust me. Me of all people. I know about being narcissistic. This is your one chance to do something good for once, you lazy sack of shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sure you're nice people. All right, let's talk some football here. We got week 4. Is it week 4 coming up? Yes, it's week 4 coming up. And I have to ask about 2 players that are very near and dear to my life. Do these guys, are they still good?
It's very unclear if Phillip Rivers is still good. I thought Phillip Rivers was still good, and then last week made me very confused as to what Phillip was doing, because he was basically just that tilt gif the entire game, just throwing up. He basically was doing that game he played in the yard as a kid, like the plus 500 game. That's what Phillip Rivers was doing all day with wide receivers nowhere near anybody. He was just throwing it to the Chiefs. So I'm skeptical. I'm more in on Phillip Rivers still being good than Eli. But Eli's got a tasty matchup this week with Tampa Bay, and their beaten up defense. They lost 2 linebackers last week with Quan Alexander and Levante David. And I think this is a good week for Eli to ride Odell's coattails in DFS GPPs.
That's right. I heard something about a little weather issue down there, though. Aren't you our man on the ground down there? Do you got any updates?
I'm close enough. So far, as I look outside here in South Florida, things look good. But yeah, I usually check in on the weather on Sunday morning, so it'll be something to monitor. I only care about wind though, and usually it's not super windy. So if it's wet, whatever, they'll keep the balls dry for Eli.
All right, did you hear that, Eli? You're gonna ride Odell's coattails to a big day in Florida. All right, who is the one guy? I know it's early in the week, a little early still, that you are having a hard time building a lineup without?
I would say it's Ezekiel Elliott this week. We've seen the Cowboys get back to their running game a little bit last week. They're big favorites at home against the Rams. The Rams defense has struggled against the run. They got pounded by Washington 2 weeks ago. They got pounded by Carlos Hyde last week, who scored 2 rushing touchdowns against them. Zeke is running a career high in pass routes, so he's more active in the passing game this week. And the price, while all these other running backs have kind of caught up in price to him, Todd Gurley getting the price raise, Kareem Hunt getting the price raise, I think Ezekiel Elliott's price has kind of stayed in there, and I think he's one of the best running back plays this week.
I like it. I feel like everybody's now getting excited about Dez too, so maybe he flies a little bit more under the radars.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, Dez has been getting every opportunity in the world in the first few weeks, and he's only converted 2 touchdowns. It's Zeke time to get all those opportunities in the red zone.
There you guys go. Maybe a little Eli Odell stack. You squeeze in Zeke. You're building a Dink-approved lineup right there. All right, speaking of stacks, it's now time for my hit segment, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Drew, what is your number 1 stack, and let's say other than Eli and Odell, heading into this week?
Okay, so I'll give you one that's chalky and then one I think that's contrarian. Nice. The chalky one, which I think is viable in cash games, is Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald. We saw the duo hook up on Monday night quite a bit. Good matchup with San Francisco this week. Larry torched them last year in 2 games, had over 18 catches, had over 200 yards, had over 2 touchdowns, a big size advantage in the slot. And then the one that's a little bit contrarian, I really like Trevor Siemian and either Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders or both on a site like Draftkings. The passing game is so concentrated there. You get a triple stack with those guys, rack up all the receptions. We saw Kirk Cousins light up the Oakland defense. It's Trevor Siemian's turn to do it this week.
Do you bring them back with a sub 0% owned Amari Coopers?
I don't think so. Now, if Amari Cooper is in a sumo suit, then I think you might bring him back. But without the sumo suit, I don't think you bring him back.
Look at that. Finally, a guest who has listened to a previous edition of the programs. And actually, this is a nice segue because I assume you're familiar now with the 69 challenge that I do.
I have long been familiar with the 69 challenge.
Well, okay, I have a little bee in my bonnet right now, Dink. So I've done it the first, I did one for preseason, week 1, week 2, week 3. Last week, the Manz finally won a 69 challenge. I wiped the floor with CSU Ram 88s, Mr. Mount Rushmore of DFS. And do you know what? This punk hasn't made good on it yet. I was
going to say, I haven't seen it.
Dude, I made a tribute video.
The 69 challenge, tell me more about it.
Okay, so the 69 challenge is, if you accept, I'm going to send you a head-to-head on Draftkings. And, typical Draftkings roster, you get 9 spots. Except, if we play head-to-head, I am going to throw out my 3 worst scores. If I beat you with my hand tied behind my back, you have to say on Twitter that I'm one of the greatest DFS players of our generations in a video or a tweet. Do you take that challenge?
Done, buddy. I'm taking the challenge. I'm in.
And I have too much pride to bug him on Twitter to tell him that he owes me a tweet about being the greatest DFS player of this generation. So if anyone's out there and they want to tweet CSU Rams for me and let him know, hey, dude, stop welching on your bets and give the Manz his due, you have my blessing. Now, so all that, sorry, to get out of the way, will you be accepting this week's 69 challenge?
Absolutely. I am ready to take on the reigning greatest DFS player in history.
That's right, dude. I threw out my 3 worst scores last week, and I still won by like 30 points. So dude, I'm on a little bit of heater. And what I did is I take your ideas and then I leverage them against you. It's like a mini GPP, dude. So you got to be careful.
I know. I'm already ready. It's a big meta game, the 69 challenge.
Do you know what's coming? It's coming. The Dak, Cole Beasley, Dez stack leveraged against your Zeke.
Oh, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Zeke to destroy.
All right. Excellent, dude. Well, Drew, thank you so much for coming on the programs. Really appreciate it. People can find you on Twitter. Where can they? And you got the link on there too, right, for the Welly Maker?
Yeah, it's one of my pinned tweets. You can see a link to Daily Roto that has all the link to the Charity Water stuff. And I'll get you the link so you can put it on all the YouTube stuff here as well.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. I look forward to taking you down in the 69 challenge. Check out the Welly Maker. Drew Dinks, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks to Drew Dinkmeyer for coming on the show. Make sure you give out a few bills, a few coins to the Welly Maker. It's a great cause, and you guys should all get on board. All right. Now it's time for the Manz Fans of the Week. And this week, it goes to Eric McClungs. Now, McClungs has been a Manz fan since the very beginning. He actually helped out at the inaugural Broathlon, so he's met the Manz in person, and he's now a regular in our weekly GP Pete contest on Draftkings. And by the way, he also has his own DFS show. It's called The Big Tilts. It's over on Roto Underworld Radio. It has great guests, so go check it out and support a Manz fans. And if you'd like to be a Manz fan like Eric, be sure to just drop me a line on Twitter at Pete Manzanelli and tell me why you deserve to be the Manz Fans of the Week featured in this space. Lastly, don't forget to sign up for this week's GPP on DraftKings. There's a handful of spots left. We're doing a 30 Manz this week. 30 men's and women's in that contest, competing at the highest level with some of the best DFS players in the world. So make sure you hop in there before it fills up. They've been filling up every week. I'll post the link down in the comments below in the show notes. Hop in there. It'll be a good time. As always, make sure you subscribe. That's the red button down below. And leave me a comment. Shoot me a message on Twitter. You can always follow me there at Pete Manzanelli. And if you want to see the Manz talking poker, you can always head over to PokerTubes. That's youtube.com/PokerTube. All right, until next time, guys, I'm the Manz. Get paid. Get laid.